Hi, today I'll be coding a few more patterns from a bit more complex to quite challenging. This is going to be the first one, and it's very similar to something I've coded before, namely this one. Except the difference is that on the pattern that we want today, the red and the white arrows on the second column get reversed. So this one, the red one here, gets replaced by the white. This one, the white, gets replaced by the red, and so on, going down. Now, we are going to start by setting a few layout styles. As you can see, we already have the 4 divs, 1 div per pattern. On the body, we are going to have display flex, and we are going to have flex direction column. We are also going to set a gap 8 pixels. This doesn't really matter much. And on the div elements, we're going to set a height, whatever. Then the first pattern, nth child 1. This is going to be our first pattern. We are going to start with that edge length right there, and the angle of the arrow, okay? And we're also going to compute half this angle, because if we draw this horizontal line and we draw this vertical line right here, they're going to be perpendicular onto one another, and here we're going to get a right triangle, and this is going to be the hypotenuse, and the angle from here, this is going to be half the arrow angle, and this way we can get this bit right here, this vertical bit, which is going to be half of this distance between these 2 points, and this part right here again is going to be half of the distance between these 2 points, which is basically the background size box width, and this is half the background size box height, because you can see we have repetition from that. So after this distance we have repetition, so we start with red again. So if this is the start point, then here we start with red again. Okay, now having done this, let's move on to setting those things, to computing stuff. And I said we're going to use trigonometric functions, so we're going to need to import a module. So use a SAS module. If I could type, that would be great. That edge length 3ms, that arrow angle 120 degrees, half of it is going to be 0.5. Okay, we are also going to compute the start angle. So let's go back here. So let's say that we're going to have a conic gradient that starts from that line right there. We need to get the angle of that line. Well, the top, at the top, starting from the top, that's 0 degrees, 0%, whatever. And the bottom, 6 o'clock, that's going to be 50%, 180 degrees. So the angle of this line right here is going to be 180 degrees minus half the arrow angle. So our conic gradient angle is going to be 180 degrees minus b. So background, we are going to have not linear, conic, as I mentioned before, but we don't have autocomplete for conic. That's the whole deal. So from C, and the first part is going to be white, and we're going to go for one angle. So this part right here, this is white, and this is the arrow angle, okay? And from that point on, we are going to use black. So you're going to see in just a moment why I'm using black and not red. Okay, it's starting to look like something. Next, we are going to need the background size box dimensions. As I mentioned before, this is the background size box width, and it's twice this edge in a right triangle, in this little right triangle. And this edge in the right triangle is the hypotenuse times the sine of that angle right there, which is half the arrow angle. So the background size width is going to be twice that edge length times the sine of that angle B, which is half the arrow angle. And the height is going to be very similar, because we compute the cosine in the same right triangle. So height, let's get back here. So we have, that's the cosine, the edge length times the cosine. Sorry, some people are racing. Okay, and twice that is going to get us up to here, but we have repetition from here, so we need to double it once more. So that's going to be 2 times. Okay, so the background size is going to be like that. Okay, now we're going to have a second conic gradient on top of this one, so we can get the pattern we had last time. So we are going to start from the same angle, right? Let's so we've already done this part right here, right? So our background size box starts from there, right? And that's like in the middle, right? And we started from there. We have white, we have black in all that area, and we need to get those white wings in there, those white triangles, and we can do that with a conic gradient. So again, we start from the same angle, we have transparency for the arrow angle, and the rest of it is white. So transparency for the arrow angle, and the rest of it is white. And yeah, that's going to be at the top. So at 50%, 0, in the middle of the top edge. Okay, and if you want to see it a bit more obvious what we did, what we filled in, so those are those 2 wings on the sides of the arrow, right? Let's switch back to white. Now the next step, let's get back here, is going to be switching the black and the white on the even columns. Okay, so switching the black and the white, we do it with the difference blend mode, and I actually wrote an article about that and about exclusion as well, and I'm going to link it in the description. But the most important part is this part right here in this demo. So you can see how here we have black, here we have white, and here we have something. It doesn't really matter. Now if we overlap them and we use that difference blend mode, if one layer is black, the resulting layer is identical to the other layer. If one layer is white, the resulting layer is identical to the other layer inverted. So if we have black on black, then the result is going to be black. If we have black on white or white on black, then the result is going to be white. If we have white on white, the result is going to be black. Okay, so that's the thing. So what we're going to need to do is have black for the even columns and white for the white columns. So we add another layer that has black over the odd columns and white over the even columns. So that's going to be a linear gradient at 90 degrees, and we're going to have black up to 50% and then white, and we're going to need to make a few changes to the background size. So we add one more for the bottom, and at the top we're going to have twice the width, and the height doesn't really matter. And then we're going to set background blend mode, difference, and lighten. The thing is, it's actually normal, but the thing is we can use lighten because lighten brings on top the lighter layer. Transparency doesn't cause any changes, and white is going to come up on top of the black, but white would come up on top of the black anyway because this layer is on top of this layer. So lighten or normal, the result is the same in this particular case. Okay, now the next step is to make that black red, and we're going to do that with another gradient, right? Something like that, and you're going to see in a moment just why I used lighten in there, because I can move it here, and since we have 3 blending operations. So we have one here between these two first layers, then one between this layer and the result of blending the first 2 layers, and the third one between this layer and the result of the previous blend. Okay, so we have 3 blends, but we only have 2 values here, so that means that we're going to repeat them, and we use the lighten between these 2 bottom ones. Now, similarly, we are going to need to fix the background size. Again, we need 4 background sizes, and we only have 3, so that means that we repeat the first one from here, and yeah, we have the pattern. So this is the first one, and we're going to move on to the second one. Nth child. Now the second one looks very similar, only in different directions, but look at it in a bit of a different way. We can say that this is one arrow row up to here, up to the half, and this is a second arrow row. So we're going to create such arrows. So basically the edge length of an arrow is going to be twice that base edge length that we've just set. We're going to use the same arrow angle, we can change it later. Okay, so yeah, we're going to start from pretty much the same. But of course we are going to have a different start angle. Let's get back here. So let's say that this is going to be our start angle, right? And this one is going to be 90 degrees, which is at 3 o'clock or 25%, minus half the arrow angle. So it's not going to be 180, it's going to be 90. Then let's get back here. The background size width is going to be from here to here. So when we start repeating, right? Now this part up to here is going to be twice that base edge length times the cosine of this angle. So then we're going to need to multiply it again with 2. So we're going to need to have 2 times, and now it's going to be cosine, because as you can see those those arrows are in the different direction. So these point up, so along the vertical direction, and in this case right now we are going to go along the horizontal direction. Okay, so having done this, let's just comment out stuff around here, and we're just going to have that one background size like that. Okay, and that point is not going to be where is it? Right here. Okay, so you can see how we have this one right here. This part is white, right, up to that arrow angle, and the rest of it is going to be black, right? So then we're going to need to put white there, and this is that point right there. It's not in the middle of the top edge, it's in the middle of the left edge, so that's at 0, 50%, and the second one is going to be 50% by default, so it's going to look like that. So now you can see that we have something interesting, and what we're going to need to invert here is, let's say that this quarter of the background size box, this quarter, this top quarter, is not inverted, the middle half is inverted, and the bottom quarter is not inverted. So we're going to use something very similar, a linear gradient, except this one is going to go from top to bottom, something like this. And again, we're going to use the same technique, so we can uncomment that part, and you can see how it inverts the top half. So what we're going to need to do is have an offset right there, so 0 horizontally, it doesn't really matter, and a quarter, right, of the background size box height. Oh, not that one, for the, right, this one. Sorry about that. And now we have that result, but we have a different color there. I don't know, let's say hot pink. Okay, now we're going to use column reverse so that we see the last two and we see them better. And let's just copy paste this one, and we're going to make changes as we go. So this one is actually very, very similar to the first one, except we are not inverting whole arrow columns. We have an arrow column and a half not inverted, and then another column and a half inverted. So this means that basically this size right there changes to 3 and everything else is identical, except for the color. So medium sea green something, let's see it. Okay, so that's pretty much the result we wanted. Okay, next up, let's just again copy paste, and we're going to modify stuff. This one is actually a bit more complex. So again, we have these arrows pointing along the horizontal direction, and let's look at them for a little bit. So upwards we have that one base edge length, but downwards, until we change direction, right, we have 2 edge lengths. So basically, if we compute a base height, right, which is going to be that edge in that little right triangle right there, right, so that's going to be the edge length times the sine. That's going to be a third of our background size box. And now this part, let's say it's going to be half. So we are going to use like this, 2 times, and this one is going to be 3 times. And of course here we are going to go at 50% the height, which is a third of the background. And of course that we are going to take those out, take out that one as well. So something like that. And of course we are going to want to have those smaller because we just used the base one. Right, and what we're missing right now is that little triangle from there becoming black. So that one right there, we're going to actually need a conic gradient. So conic gradient at 0, twice that base height, and we are going to have transparent up to the angle plus that start angle, and then we're going to have black. Let's see it. Yeah, sharp transition, sorry. Okay, now the thing is here, where is the pattern? Right here. Okay, so here we're going to have the first 2/3, they are going to look normal, so, but the bottom third is going to be inverted, right? So having done this, we are going to need to actually have something a bit different there. So we're going to have black up to 25%, then we're going to have white, okay, and we're going to have a sharp transition there, and we're not going to need that one. We are going to uncomment that and this part right here, and let's see it. So yeah, that's pretty much that result, except we're going to have a blue there. So oh yeah, I messed up stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the result we wanted, like that. And I'm not going to tweak stuff any further. I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you have, if you like the work that I've been putting out since early 2012 and you want me to be able to do more in the future, please consider supporting it. You can do so by being a cool cat and becoming a patron on Patreon, or if monthly support is not your style, there's the option of one-time donation, or you could make me happy with a gift off my wish list, or you could at least share this to show the world what can be done with CSS these days, because honestly, I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. By the way, everything is going to be linked in the description, the links for everything. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.